Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I am on two places. That's amazing. Welcome to Mornings with Marvel, where authenticity lives and thrives to create a space of growth, healing, and joy. I am your host, Andrea Lawful Sanders, and each day we will cover the topics that are informative and engaging while learning from each other. Good morning to each and every one of you. It is Wednesday, August 6th, 2025. We are here. There's so much happening, and we have gone more than half the year now at this point, considering all the things that are going on around us. So, good morning. I have Dr. Michelle back on this morning so we can have a conversation. School is getting ready to start. Good morning, Bobby. Good morning. School is getting ready to start, and I truly want to make sure that we discuss all the things that would impact our children as they get ready to go back to school. As you heard yesterday with Mary Elissa May, who was a therapist, there's so much happening in our families that we're not addressing, and it's causing an uproar where there's an uptick of 144% in suicidal rates in our teenagers and young people. So this morning, we're going to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. And after I got off the air yesterday, I got some text messages and calls from folks who were just, we need to discuss this more, et cetera, et cetera. Look, it's difficult. You know, every week I do one thing for myself, and that's to go with my friend to get a $15 bowl of pho. And while we are getting that far, we talk. It's more than just the food, right? It's more than just the soup. It is for us to talk on the way to get in the far, have the far, talk on the way coming back, and we get to download all the things that are happening with us, throughout the last week and how we're navigating through. It's an When I say it's an interesting time, I have a guest coming on Friday. That's going to talk about some of this stuff. What does this stuff mean for us? How are we navigating through it? And what should we do? In the meantime, many of you are traveling. You're going to Greece and you're going to Taiwan and you're going to Costa Rica, and all these things are happening. I want you to pay attention for me to, let me just make sure that I don't need to the Earth's core. Why am I asking you to pay attention to the Earth's core? There's a lot going on within the Earth's core. Volcanoes are erupting that have not erupted in the last 400 years. Mount Rainier, which is in Washington State, has had hundreds of little earthquakes happening. They're sensing seismic activity at Mount Rainier. And so that has become a concern. Pay attention. So what I'm saying to you as you're traveling, make sure you check everything, right? There are earthquakes. There was an earthquake in Santo Domingo yesterday that impacted Puerto Rico and Haiti, and that was 6.2 on the Richter scale. And so the forecasters are trying to tell us that we have to be very mindful about what's going on because anything can erupt at any time. So not to stop you from traveling. We're just telling you be careful as you move about and have plans, preparations. In the meantime, I wanted to go to Hawaii, and I saw all the things that are happening in terms of the tsunamis and just the natural upheaval of things around us. So just pay attention. There's something I want to read to you, and I need us to get into this because good morning, Lisa Gamble. Good morning, Shaquilla, Viola, to all of you. Good morning. I see you here. Let me see. Ooh, child. So it's a lot. So it's ooh. If you could see and hear the things that I see and hear every day, you'd wonder how Jesus. So I wanted to been asking if anybody would like to have a conversation about this. Janice Hall, who is a CCLD 2025 delegate, wrote this on LinkedIn, and it's a conversation I think we need to have. So get your typing fingers together or pick up the phone and call me 215-400-0146. And she wrote 5 days ago, I had a conversation recently with a Gen Z team member who just resigned. Now, Gen Z is my age group, right? Just before the millennials, I think. Yeah, I think I'm Gen Z. I think. Okay. No notice, no warning. Naturally, this left a gap that the rest of the team had to scramble to fill. When I asked her about it, her response was disarmingly candid. Companies, she says, and I quote, "Good morning, Mabel Wellborn. I hope you're doing well, my sister. Haven't seen you in a while." Companies, she said, don't give notice when they're letting someone go. You just show up and find out it's your last day. Why should I give notice when I am leaving? It gave me pause, not because I agreed, but because I understood the perspective. In her eyes, a traditional workplace contract no longer feels mutual or fair. We spoke more, and I asked what would make someone like her stay in a role longer. What kind of reward beyond salary would feel meaningful? Her answer was clear, and I quote, "Everyone wants to feel like they're working towards something tangible. If there's no immediate goal, no sense of progress or payoff, then what's the point?" End quote. It just wasn't about pensions, promotions, or plaques. It was about progress with purpose, a feeling that their efforts is tied to a goal that they care about now that is relevant to them. Then she added, quote, "I cannot afford a house on this salary. I have no bills or dependents, and the job is stressful. If I am not growing or gaining something meaningful, then why stay?" End quote. Then came the part that stuck with me the most. Quote, "The corporate ladder doesn't exist anymore. Millennials are stuck in entry level and middle management. Boomers aren't resigning. And now AI is automating everyone's role. Where's the room for me to grow?" It made me think. This generation isn't lazy or entitled. They are deeply aware that the systems they've inherited don't always work for them, that loyalty isn't rewarded, that progress isn't guaranteed. So instead, many are becoming content creators, digital nomads, couch surfers, and backpackers, chasing meaning over metrics, using metrics to achieve their personal rewards. And in their eyes, they're not escaping responsibility. They're rejecting systems that don't offer relevance or real reward. And so the conversation left me with bigger questions. Are our reward system aligned with what actually motivates Gen Z? Do our roles offer meaning, mobility, and momentum, or just motion? In a workplace where boomers holding the institutional memory, millennials navigating the middle, and Gen Z's craving impact and autonomy, how do we make work equally attractive for all? Maybe it's time we stopped asking Gen Z to adapt to how work was and start evolving work into what it could be. Thanks, Akeem. And she got 5,000 views and almost 1,000 comments. Yes, yes, yes. Good morning, Jennifer. So I am Gen Z, right? I am Gen Z. There's been quite a bit of conversation about this. Millennials, which is some of our children in their 20s and 30s, are saying that we told them to go to college. We told them to achieve the American dream. They had to go to college. We spent all this money on them in college, and they get to these jobs. And before 2020, many of them, more than a few of them, because they're in our families, were getting jobs starting at $100 and something thousand a year. They had worked themselves up to 170, 200. Some of them are making over $200,000 a year. And what they have found is all of a sudden, am I Gen X? What am I? Gen Z is after millennial. I'm Gen X. Okay. So I'm Gen X. Okay. All right. Thank you, Jennifer, because, it's early in the morning and Mova's trying to make herself younger than she actually is. So I'm Gen X, right? Just before millennials. Wait, is it Gen X, then Gen Z, then millennials? I can't remember now. I cannot remember because I'm old. But where was I? Lord Jesus. Whew, my brain just went blank. What was I saying, Lord? Too much is going on. Too much is going on. So now what's happening with the millennials is that they're finding they're being outsourced. They're being told that their jobs have been, laid off. And when they turn around to search to find another job, thinking that they would get the same monies when they were laid off, they're being offered one third of what they were making. So there's something at play here. So there's that with the millennials. The other thing that I'm finding with millennials is that, they're trying. You know, they're not trying. They're not doing what we did. They're not doing what the Gen Xers did. They're not doing what the boomers did. It's X, millennials, Gen Z, then Alpha. Okay, so millennials. The millennials are not doing what the Gen X is doing because they're like, we're not sitting around waiting for our turn. We're not sitting around waiting to work 25 years only to get a promotion and then we're not getting promoted. People are talking about that there's no space. Gen Xers are saying there's no space for them to go up. There's spaces to go lateral. And so what's happening is the companies are hiring within, moving people within spaces instead of bringing more people in. So they're working harder with less people in it. And then they're finding that there's no real space for upward mobility. And so a lot of Gen Xers are walking away and saying, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Where do we go from here? The millennials are frustrated. They're the ones that began truly sounding the alarm. We are now catching our voices because of the millennials. The millennials are the ones who were like, something is wrong here. I remember being in DC right in front of the White House, and he's a millennial. He said, I graduated from Howard. He might be a Gen Z. He said, I graduated from Howard University. I have hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. I can't afford to leave my parents' house. I cannot afford to buy health insurance. Thank you, Teresa Brown Paris. Happy Independence Day. It's Jamaica's Independence Day today. I'll discuss that a little bit further. Give me a second. I can't afford to move out of my parents' house. I cannot even get health insurance because I leave an institution where I spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school, and I'm making $40,000 a year. There's so many of them that are becoming barristers because they can't find the jobs in the field that they're qualified for after spending all that money and then told, now you have to start repaying your student loan. So there's a lot of frustration there. There's so much frustration there. And we have to figure out, how do we navigate this with our young people? Do you agree with the Gen Xer, which is someone in their 50s, 40s, 50s, that, they should just walk away from the job without giving notice, since the job lets them go without giving notice? I talked to a few people maybe about a month and a half ago who had spent 20 years in an organization, and they were told that they couldn't keep them, and they let them go that day. They didn't give them 2 weeks notice. They didn't give them a severance package, nothing. Broke their spirit, right? Because they're saying, I spent all this time giving to this organization, and there was never a discussion with me about, let's give you a severance package. Let's figure out, even if we just pay you for an extra 2 weeks, nothing. They just got absolutely nothing. So people are frustrated. So what are your thoughts around that? We want to talk about that a little bit today. And I really want to, I had a young person, a Gen Zer, said to me that they want to be a part of the conversation. So that is something that I am going to put up. I'm going to have a conversation about it. August 6, 1962. I'm pivoting right now. The Independence Day of Jamaica is a national holiday celebrated in the island. The holiday commemorates such an event. It is one of the most senior public holidays celebrated in Jamaica. I believe there's a flag raising on Friday at City Hall for them. The colony of Jamaica gained its independence from the United Kingdom on August 6, 1962, following more than 300 years under British rule. Black nationalism was particularly fostered in Jamaica in the first half of the 20th century. The most notable Black leader in the country being Marcus Garvey, a labor leader and an advocate of the Back to Africa movement, which called for everyone of African descent to return to the homelands of their ancestors. Nationalist sentiment climaxed during the British West Indian labor unrest of 1934 to 1939, during which protests occurred between Black and British residents of the British West Indies. Following the end of World War II, the decolonization movement began, with local politicians in Jamaica and in the British Empire transitioning their own colonies into independent states. After Norman Manley was elected to the post of Chief Minister in 1955, the process of decolonization was made even quicker. especially with constitutional amendments that he enacted that allowed for greater home rule and established a basis for a cabinet of ministers under a prime minister of Jamaica. So, yes, it is now our Independence Day today. Uh, uh, they do concerts, parade, they do church services. All of that is happening this particular weekend. So we're doing that. So I wanted to make sure you guys knew about that part. Thank you for reminding me, Teresa Brown Paris. I knew it, and then it just went out of my head. Let me do a little bit of news while I am here. Speaking of the Earth's core that I began talking about first thing this morning, another small earthquake in North Jersey Tuesday appears to have been felt by a large number of people in New York City, in the New York City region. According to posts on social media, the U.S. Geological Survey reported a magnitude 2.7 earthquake northwest of the city near Hillsdale, New Jersey. At that size, officials says it is not likely there will be impacts. The USGS does not consider earthquakes at 3.0 and below to be very dangerous or damaging. It comes just days after a small earthquake could be felt across the region on Saturday night. That event had a magnitude of 3.0 and hit in the New Jersey suburb of Hasbrook Heights. This is written by 6abc.com. Let me open this and see. Laura says, Alexandra says, Mova just made me realize that I'm a boomer. Laura says, I see what she's saying. As long as you are leaving the job with no notice, can't be disclosed to a new job. You don't want a negative communicated, You don't want negativity communicated to your new job. But do you also see the point, Laura, where they're saying people are just letting folks go? No notice, no anything. Thank you for your service. And they let you go, right? So do you think, given that and the what's been happening now with so many employers, that it's difficult, that is, if it's right for her to do what she did? Yeah, we'll see. We'll absolutely see. Let me cover a little bit more news. What time is it? 6:48. Okay, we're good. One of the key figures of the Underground Railroad, abolitionist and author William Still, has been honored with a new mural at 625 South Delhi Street in South Philadelphia. Still's descendants, Valerie Still and Samuel Still, were in attendance for the unveiling of the mural. William Still and family on Friday. Local leaders, City Council member Mark Squia, Chief Cultural Officer for Creative Philadelphia Val Gay, and artist Ernell Martinez, creator of the mural, were also on hand. That was written by PhillyTrib.com. We are still going on about the Epstein files. The House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer issued numerous new subpoenas on Tuesday, including one to the Department of Justice for the complete Jeffrey Epstein files and another for depositions in the coming months with former President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Comer said he wants the Justice Department to turn over the full, complete, unredacted Epstein files on or before August 19th. Now, let's discuss. Written by abcnews.com. Do we really think that that's going to happen? This has been a conversation for God knows how long. Do you really think they're going to turn over a full disclosure of the Epstein files by August 19th, or is this just performative? Woo. A bronze statue, and that was written by abcnews.com/politics. A bronze statue of a Confederate general was toppled by protesters 5 years ago, will be restored and reinstalled in Washington, D.C., the National Park Service said. The restoration of the statue of Confederate Brigadier General Albert Pike aligns with federal responsibilities under historic preservation law, as well as recent executive orders to beautify the nation's capital and reinstate pre-existing statutes, the Park Service said in a news release on Monday. The agency, which shared a photo showing restoration work on the statue, said it's aiming to have the monument reinstalled by October. This is written by CBSNews.com. Oh, wow. A fire broke out under a New Jersey train on Monday, sending several people to the hospital and temporarily suspending service for most of the morning. The fire spewed smoke through the PATH train and Newport station just before 6:20 a.m., and passengers were evacuated on the platform. Officials with Port Authority Trans-Hudson say 13 people were treated for smoke inhalation at the scene, and 9 of those went to the hospital for further evaluation. This was 6abc.com. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History says it is restoring the inclusion of President Donald Trump's 2 impeachments in its presidential exhibit following backlash over its quiet removal. The move comes after the Washington Post reported that the museum removed a placard referencing Trump's impeachments from its exhibit, The American Presidency, A Glorious Burden. The removal sparked questions over whether the museum had succumbed to political pressure from the White House. On Saturday, August 2nd, the Smithsonian denied any political influence, saying Trump's impeachment placard was removed due to presentation issues. The placard did not meet the museum's standards in appearance, location, timeline, and overall presentation, the museum said in a statement. It was not consistent with other sections and, moreover, blocked the view of the objects inside the case. The placard was initially added to the exhibit in 2021 as a temporary measure and was removed in July 2025. The museum said it would now be formally updating its impeachment section in the coming weeks to reflect all U.S. impeachment proceedings. This is blackentertainmentnews.com. Black Information News, I'm sorry. So there is and I don't see it here in my, where the United States is floating this idea that you have to pay up to $15,000 to get a visa to enter this country. And so with the World Games coming in 2026, we're trying to figure out, what is that going to mean? You know, what's that going to mean? Good morning, Winetta. I see you. Whew. So much is going on. And it's all I'm looking. Hours after the Bureau of Labor Statistics released employment data showing slow job growth for July and prior months, President Donald Trump fired the BLS commissioner, claiming the job numbers were phony and that the commissioner had faked other job figures to help Democrats. Jesus. I have to ask you this. I must. Let me. With all the news that's going on, with all the things that are happening, how are you navigating through the news, real and imagined, all the things that you know are true versus what's not true? Have you stopped watching the news altogether? Are you trying to navigate through what you're actually going to watch? Because it is so difficult anymore. And I thought that it was just a few of us, those who are, reading the news, covering the news. It's not. There's so many people who are really, really struggling right now. Dr. Nichelle is early today, but I'm going to let her in. See. Good morning, Dr. Nichelle. I see you. All right, maybe she started early and didn't know I was going to be here. How about that? DT Celeste, I watch it carefully with my eyebrows raised. Good morning. Good morning. You're early today, huh? You're early today, huh?
I know.
All right,
well,
so turn off.
I,
All right, there's an echo.
Turn off. All right, there's an echo.
Whatever's around you that you can hear.
Around you that you can hear.
Do you hear the echo? Okay. There's an echo every time I talk to you.
There's an echo every time I talk to you.
Yes, I do hear the echo. Do you hear it now?
So do you have? All right. Yep, I still hear it.
Yep, I still hear it.
You still hear the echo?
So you have something on.
So you have something on.
That's causing. Grab that husband of yours.
Grab that husband of yours and see.
Because that echo is real.
Because that echo is real.
Okay. Can you hear it now?
Hello.
Hello.
Yep.
Hello.
Yep.
You still hear an echo?
Yes, I can hear myself talking.
I can hear myself talking to you.
Do you want to log out and come back in?
Do you want to log out and come back in?
Yeah, I think what's happening is, hold on. Can you hear it now?
Good morning. I don't hear it
No,
now.
I can't even hear you.
No. Oh. I can hear
You know
you,
what
but
it is, I have to log off and come back in.
All right,
because
go ahead.
it's the
Yes,
MacBook.
go ahead. Yes.
I'm trying to use the headphones, and it's
Okay.
the MacBook that's doing
Okay,
it.
no worries.
So I'll come back in.
Dr. Nichelle Adebate Maraventano is a distinguished pediatrician and alumni of the George Washington University School of Medicine and Health Sciences in DC. She was born in Einstein Medical Center and claims both Philly and Abington as her stomping grounds. She is going to talk to us today about mental health in the Black community. We had a similar discussion yesterday, but I believe there is not enough. No, the Mary Alyssa May really made me concerned when she said the youngest child that completed the act of suicide was 5 years old. And so, because Dr. Nichelle is a pediatrician, I want to have a dialogue with her because some of us, our grandchildren are, some of us are just having children that are 1, 2, 3, and 4 years old. We want to have the dialogue around what are we doing? What are our children seeing and hearing and experiencing amongst with us within our families that's causing our children to believe that the things that are happening in our households is their problem, that they're the ones that are causing it. We have to be very, very mindful. Alexandra says, I watched the BBC Joy Reid and Roland Martin Unfiltered. I watch BBC too. I've literally pulled away from the news here because you just don't know. And they're being, it's so weird. It's so weird. Winetta says, I've been listening, journaling, and staying in a peaceful mindset along with being kind. Kindness in a world where you can be anything, be kind. I've said this over and over again. Let me see if I hear her now better. If I hear her better now. Dr. Nichelle?
I don't know.
All right.
All
Hello?
right. Hello.
Nope. I'm
Hello?
still hearing the echo.
The echo.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
All
better?
right.
All right.
Nope.
Nope.
I still hear the
I
echo.
still hear the echo.
So here's what I'm going to
So
tell
here's
you.
what I'm going to tell you.
Get off your computer and join me on your
join me
phone.
on your phone.
Okay.
All right.
All right. All
All
right.
right.
All right. So we'll do that.
We'll do that soon.
Because that echo
That
is
echo is
interesting.
interesting.
Okay. Sorry.
No worries. No worries. We just want to make sure that we can people can hear you properly. When Mary Alyssa May began discussing that our children, they're hearing parents say things like, I want to go so and so, but I can't do it because I got to take care of this child. We have to be very mindful about the things that we say in front of our children. It's really, really important. And for those of us who are grandparents, to show up in the ways that we can. Yesterday morning, right as I got off the air, my daughter-in-law texted me. She says, Mom, I'm trying to find a particular yogurt for copy. All right, let's see.
Yes.
Yes. There you go. Much better. That's so
Okay.
weird.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the same setup I had the last time. I don't know what's happened, but
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
okay.
So, Dr. Nichelle, welcome back to the show. I appreciate your
Thank you.
taking the time to come back in and have a dialogue with us now.
Yes, for sure. I'm it's a pleasure always.
Yeah, and with school getting ready to start, I began a conversation yesterday with a therapist about the name of Mary Alyssa May, and she
Mm.
was telling us that the youngest child recorded completing the act of suicide is 5. And so, as a pediatrician, your goal today is to have dialogue with us around what can parents do, what are the warning signs for our children? What do they need to know as their children are getting ready to go into school all the way up to 20? This is your role, right? Because
Yes.
pediatricians, you keep children until what, 18 or 20?
21, actually.
21.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what are you seeing and hearing that would be of concern to you? And what do we need to know?
Yeah. Wow. So I think the first thing is thinking about children, in the context of ages and stages, because different ages will present in different ways, right? And depression doesn't look the same, anxiety doesn't look the same in every single child, right? So when we talk about, younger children, some of the times we as adults tend to um, undervalue experiences that younger children are having. There are a lot of children that are experiencing, when we talk about depression in ages, 5, 6, 7, are experiencing bullying. and are experiencing, you know, issues that have to do with trauma, even within the family, right? Or with people that they know, right? We talk about child abuse, whether it's neglect, sexual abuse, physical abuse. With children in the younger ages, it tends to be people that they know.
Right.
And I think that we're not checking in with our children like we should. Every pediatrician should be spending time with a child separately to be able to have conversations
Mm-hmm.
around their environment. Um, I think the issue is that, um, you know, we assume that all is well, right? I tend to take a perspective that, um, yes, all can be well, but um, they have to, when I encounter children, they they need to prove to me that things are well, if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
So explain to us what does that look like? Because other than the physical, you can physically look at a child vulva or anus, and you can tell if there's abuse there sexually or no.
So most cases, believe it or not, of abuse are not acute cases of abuse. And a child can experience sexual abuse without having physical signs of sexual abuse. Sexual abuse without, I don't know, what the
Penetration.
audience is.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
It's
yeah.
not,
Yeah.
it's not just penetration.
Okay.
It's inappropriate touching. It's inappropriate grooming. It's
Hmm.
so when we have these conversations around safety, when we have this conversation about good touch versus bad
Bad
touch,
touch. Okay.
making sure that we're using the correct terminology.
Hmm.
I'm done with talking about pocketbooks. Okay, pocketbooks are things that you buy in a store that you put items in, and vaginas and penises are body parts
Right.
that people have.
Right.
Right.
So you're saying
Um,
they should use the correct terminology when they're talking about these things and not make it something else.
yes,
Is that what you're saying? Okay.
exactly. And when a child knows and understands that their body parts are autonomous, meaning
Hmm.
that my space is my space. And if someone is physically in my space that's making me feel uncomfortable, that too can be a form of abuse,
Okay.
right? And normalizing the conversations and discussions deeper
Hmm.
than just, you're not supposed to talk to strangers, right?
Hmm.
Because it usually isn't a stranger. It's
Hmm.
usually someone that is in the child's orbit
Hmm.
that is inflicting some type of mental distress, physical distress. Um, and I think that we in our community, I'm going to put this out here because we're having a real conversation
Hmm.
right now. We in our community are very protective of abusers.
Okay. And when you say we in our community, you're talking about our Black community?
Yeah, I'm talking about our Black and our Brown community.
Okay.
We are very protective of our abusers. There are often times where that there is somebody in your family, somebody at the church,
Hmm.
somebody, at the local store
Hmm.
or whatever, that is making you feel uncomfortable
Hmm.
as an adult. And we turn off our intuition. I believe our intuition is the divine talking to us, right?
Yes.
We turn off our intuition and we say, oh, that's just so and so, and that
Yeah.
so and so is just
And we
like
don't want
that.
to bring this to our
And
family, and we don't want to bring this grace. And
yes, and we don't, and oh, God forbid, your child not say hi to so and so,
oh my God.
or hug so and so, right? Um, there are family members who are not okay with just saying, oh, if the child doesn't feel like hugging me today, it's okay. Now, I'm not saying they shouldn't necessarily speak, right? Because
Mhm.
we're taught to respect our elders, but we also need to teach our kids to respect their own bodily autonomy. I get some kids who come into the office and they are all over me. Happened yesterday. I get some kids who come into the office and they're shyer, and I may offer them a high five
Mhm.
or a fist bump and blow it up. Or, but I always ask. I always ask before I get into any child's orbit. Whenever I go to do a physical exam, it's always important to reiterate that the parent is there and there's a reason why this is happening as far as the physical exam is concerned, and that they are in complete control and I am not going to do anything to hurt them. If they are not comfortable, we have discussions.
Yes.
I don't do anything before I open my mouth and give them a sense of what I'm about to do and the ability to say no.
Yes.
I had a 4-year old that was in my office. Mom had said she had had many bouts of diaper rash and this and that and the other. And it was the very first time that the child was seeing me. She didn't have any symptoms at that time, but she was very adamant that she didn't want to be examined. We talked about, the exam multiple times. And I said, you know what? Mom, if you're confident that there is no physical findings today by which that I could find and examine, I am fine with having her come back when she's more comfortable, because the last thing I want to do as a pediatrician is to inflict trauma onto a child.
Unknowingly, right, right.
Right. And
Mhm.
it usually, what usually ends up happening is that when they come back a second time, that they're already familiar with me, they're more comfortable with me, and then we can finish the rest of the exam.
Mhm.
I think that, we as pediatricians oftentimes can get caught up with checking the box, checking the box,
Mhm.
checking the box. And I just merely, documented that, child was here for an initial visit, was able to complete the rest of the visit, was
Mhm.
very uncomfortable with this portion of the exam,
Mhm.
and will request the child come back,
Mhm.
um, for a follow up to complete that portion of the exam.
Yes.
I think that um, what that does is that lets the child know that when they say no, that
Right.
no means something.
No. Yes. Yes.
Now, and then we can explore why, but what I will say is that we need to do a bigger job in our community around this sense of feeling like we have to have our children physically coming into contact with other people that they do not feel comfortable coming into contact with. I've heard, oh, give the doctor a hug. Go ahead and get, and I'm like, it's okay. If she doesn't want to give me a
So,
hug, it's
so
okay.
here's my question. Why is it such that why is it that in our communities, the black and brown communities, we protect our abusers? What are the findings that you've had around why we automatically protect the abusers?
I think there is so this gets into the mental health aspect of things,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Um Oftentimes, because it is somebody that we know or somebody that we're familiar with, there can be, and I'm not saying this is absolutely the reason, but
Hmm.
there can be a lot of guilt associated with the fact that you as a parent are, and I'm putting this in quotations, supposed to
Protect.
protect your child.
Mm-hmm.
and that you have unknowingly or
Mm-hmm.
maybe knowingly, um, due to whatever your needs are at the moment, overlooked signs and symptoms in that other party and have allowed for that other party to interact with your child unsupervised.
Is
So, yeah.
can we do something that I think we should consider radical in the Black community, because we're very good at, it's Uncle so and so, everybody's a cousin or a sister or aunt, even if they're not related to you, but they're friends of the family. Can we
Mhm.
radically stop leaving our children at people's homes? Can we just do that? Just stop. If you're going to be there with your children, spend the time there with your children, and when you are leaving, take your children with you. Can we start to practice that on some level? And if there's abuse going on inside your home, can we figure out a way to talk to someone to say, this is happening, I don't know what to do, can you walk with me through this? Because when we don't protect our children, they become the adults that are abusive and traumatizing on other people, and the thing just continues to repeat itself. Do you know how many women and boys, men, that have talked about being sexually abused?
Oh,
Do you know how
yes.
many?
I mean, it's staggering. And I think that what's even more staggering is whenever there's a disclosure, there's always um the undisclosed, right? So, the theory is behind, the fact that if there's one person complaining about interaction with this one person, that odds are there are other people that this person came into contact with who are not disclosing. I mean, we saw this,
Yes.
right? I mean, we see this when we see cases that come out, celebrities and
Yes.
all of the things, the
Right.
Me Too movement or whatever, where you have this one brave soul who comes out and says, this has been going on for 20 years. This has been going on for 12 years. This has been going on for 6 years. This has been going on for whatever, whatever. And then it's not until after it hits the media or whatever that then you see other people coming out and saying, gosh, that happened to me too. This person did this. Gosh, that happened to me too. This person did this, right? And there is courage in vulnerability, right?
Mhm.
So when we talk about mental health, all of it, there's courage and vulnerability. And, whether you be a younger child, now imagine there are adults who can't talk about this stuff.
No.
Now there's a younger child who doesn't have the words, hasn't been, and is talking about purses and pocketbooks and you know and things, and not really being able to have the words to articulate what is happening to them, right? um you know and that's just on the physical sexual abuse, but there is emotional abuse as well. They recently did, a study. Well, not recently. I mean, this is 20 years we're talking about at this point. Um, but where they looked at ACEs, right? Adverse childhood
Mhm.
events.
Mhm.
They specifically looked at it in Philadelphia. So we have documentation of what is
Mhm.
going on in Philadelphia.
Mhm.
And they actually expanded the categories that they included as adverse childhood events just because of doing this study in
Mhm.
Philadelphia.
Mhm.
So when we think about things of stressors for kids, divorce,
Mhm.
okay, makes sense. Um, but when we talk about living in unsafe neighborhoods,
Mhm.
right? Feeling not supported, right?
Mhm.
Physical abuse, emotional abuse, all of those things. About
Mhm.
70% of our residents are walking around with an ACEs score of 4. So what they
Tell them the
know,
significance. Tell them the
I know
significance of it. Yes. Okay.
yeah, I'm about to do that. So we know that if you have an ACEs score of 4 or more, it is affecting your health. it is affecting your life. The longevity of your life is shortened. Okay. When you go in Montgomery County versus when you cross over Cheltenham Avenue, the
Mhm.
life expectancy of our residents goes down by 7 years.
Wow.
We are losing
Oh,
7 years of our life based off of where we live. So, yes, check your kids' rooms. Yes, look for those guns. Yes, do all those things. Know who your kids' friends are. Stop trying to be your kids' friends. Gangs are real,
they are.
guns are real.
Mhm. Mhm.
Depression is real, anxiety is real, and
Mhm.
sometimes it shows up as anger. And when your child is refusing to talk to you and is spending time on social media and spending more than 2 hours a day on electronics, someone is talking to your child and it is not you. So your child is quiet and you can get your quote unquote things done, but you may not understand the other things that are going on.
Dr. Nisha, with an ACEs core adverse childhood event of 4 for 70% of the people that live in Philadelphia, it then correlates with what we see happening out here in the streets every single day.
Absolutely. And that
It,
was 20 years ago. That study came out 20 years ago.
so I have had a conversation with young people in the Philadelphia, and not just Philadelphia. I mean, I've been all around the country talking
Mhm,
to children in schools. School districts will invite me in. In this particular case,
mhm,
this one school, I went in to have a conversation with the teenagers. They were 14 to 17, 18,
mhm,
and they began talking. And so there was a young man that was kind of sitting in the corner listening to everybody because I do what's called a fishbowl forum, and I let them
mhm.
discuss. I let them talk about without changing my facial expression, without just giving them
Absolutely.
space.
Just a safe space. Yeah.
Right, just to let them talk. And so what I found was, as we're sitting there, I'm in the corner of my eye, I'm watching this young man. He finally says, I probably shouldn't do this in this space, but I feel comfortable. He
Mhm,
had been cutting, cutting,
mhm.
cutting, cutting. He was 14,
Yes.
cutting.
I
He had
see that
seen
often.
his best friend murdered. His mother asked him if he was okay. He said yes. But right after
Mhm,
his best friend was murdered, he began getting threats from the other gang members in the community, which are his age group and a little bit older.
yeah.
And he said he was so traumatized, continued to be traumatized, that he began cutting. And he
Mhm.
said to me, can you help me tell my mother that I am cutting so
Oh,
I can
yeah.
go get some help?
Yeah. Yeah.
Took everything in me not to fall out in that room. So I went to the principal and I actually called the teacher into the room and I said, I need an adult in here that can help me with him.
Yeah.
And I need you all to go through the protocols, follow the protocols, but he has to feel safe. He just released something that
Yeah.
is, I don't want you all to cavalierly or callously say, well, we'll just send it
Mhm.
over to DHS or wherever else.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was a literal cry for help.
Mhm.
Whew. And I see these things over and again,
Yeah.
over and again. Now,
Yeah.
let me read some of these comments to you because they're talking.
Mhm.
Mary Alyssa May is on here. Thank you for joining us this morning because she watches every day.
Okay.
She says, grooming is the conversation with real language that we as a culture need to talk more about to understand what is happening to them and the power dynamic that is being learned. Right now in Abington, someone who is a organist that goes from church to church is being accused of grooming a young lady who came out on social media. Her mother believed her, but the rest of the family told them they need to stop talking about it. Her mother is standing squarely behind her. The rest of the family members are saying, you can't talk about this. this, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
cause an issue for him. And she spoke just to what Mary Elizabeth May said. He would
Yeah.
tell her to come and sit with them in the basement when they're watching a movie. He would touch her inappropriately. He would say
Mm-hmm.
inappropriate things to her. And in her
Mm-hmm.
young mind, she was like, well, is this right? Is
This
this
is not
wrong?
exactly. Yeah.
Until she became, I think, 15, and he started
Yeah.
going further.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said, which is
Yeah.
what clicked in my head about grooming isn't necessarily penetration, especially when they're young, because they know if you go to the doctor, they'll be able to see and there will be an investigation.
Yeah. It's a insidious process.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And what's in the mind of the groomer that believes that this is okay? What happened to them? But
Mm-hmm.
we in our community, so what they're saying now, he's a member of the church, it will be an issue if we say anything. And there's a whole now fight on social media with family taking sides that we have got to stop this stuff and stop keeping the silence of the abusers. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
there's so many comments. Let me read a few more to
Mm-hmm.
you. Whoo, child. So then Alexandra says, exactly. Please stop insisting that your children hug family members they don't want to hug. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Butterfly, which is Mary Lisa May, said, agree. We're definitely protective. And sometimes for secondary gains, we're protective of the groomers.
Absolutely. We're protective of abusers in general for secondary gains. And we could talk about this all the time, but, you know, um, it's not just men who abuse, it's women who abuse as well. So let's throw that out there.
Let's
Okay.
discuss. Mm-hmm.
And know that there are different various forms of power dynamics. There's
Mm-hmm.
financial power dynamics, there's physical
Mm-hmm.
power dynamics. So anytime that someone is in a relationship where there is abuse, there's usually isolation in that dynamic as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just being aware of the relationships that you have and understanding the dynamics of the relationship, and what makes you a victim, right?
Right.
Like what not to blame the victim, so this isn't about victim blaming, but I just want to be very clear. um if you are a victim of abuse, right, there is a dynamic that is going on that is permissive of you being a victim of abuse. I can't even, so okay, all right, so let me break it down. I have an ACEs score of 7, so I'm just going to be flat out about this.
You have
Um,
an ACEs score of 7?
yes. So that's how I became a pediatrician. I wanted to create a safe space because I was a child that did not feel safe. Um, the dynamic that existed was, at the time, again, a community of silence and protection of the abuser, but then also the dynamic of um, my primary care provider, my parent, my biological parent, not having the resources and feeling that she could, in and of herself, take care of, leave, right, and take care of her children.
Oh, wow.
So that dynamic is real. Um, and when you're faced with the thought of, well, there's a roof, there's clothing, there's food on the table, you know, there is something to be said about feeling that comfort
Yes.
for your children and saying, well, he is kind of violent, but, right?
Right.
But, and if you
I
find
don't want to
yourself,
be homeless. I don't want to.
yes,
What am
I
I
don't
going to
know.
do for my
How am I
children?
going to take care of my kids? How are they
Right.
going to get a good education? How are these things going to happen? And
Wow.
abusers tend to not always be abusive, right? It's a cycle. So when you're in that cycle and you're in that moment, it's terrible. You're ready to go. You can't take it anymore. But then they apologize, or they bring you flowers, or they do something, that honeymoon period. right? And you say, oh, they've learned their lesson this time, you know? And then before you know it, whatever's going on that's triggering that abuser builds up, and they
Yeah.
don't have their mental health taken care of, or don't have the words, or whatever the
Right.
case may be. And then you go through the cycle all over again.
D Teach for Life says, I was abused as a child, and I was told that I wasn't the first girl in my family that happened to. And then she was told if I said anything, I would be placed in foster care. My mom was afraid of losing her husband and being stuck with three children. The mental gymnastics that we go through.
It is so so let's talk about generational trauma for just a second. Um, Stop hitting your kids.
Yes.
Discipline is not meant to be painful. Discipline is a form of love. Um, when we talk about, being sanctified, and when we talk about being favored, let us treat our children as such, right?
Jesus.
um Conversations should be had around not promoting generational trauma.
Yeah.
Physical discipline came from slavery. Slavery was never meant to support us as a people. Rape came from slavery. It was never meant to support our people. It was a part of the factory of making sure that they had enough people, commodities, to do what they wanted to do economically. So when we reintroduce these things into our own community, we are doing it to ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. As a part of the trauma that we experienced for generations.
Exactly.
Two says parents must also listen to their children when they want to talk. We talked about that yesterday. So many young people had completed an act of suicide in my youngest son's class. And he said the issue is that we as parents were not listening. They were trying to tell, but the parents kept saying things like, I bought this big old house for you to live in. You're in a different community. You're living in Abington. What could you possibly? And these were professors and doctors and lawyers, and
Mhm.
their children were so distraught, and they were not listening. And so my youngest son said, the thing that you can do is just stop everything that you're doing and listen. Dr.
Yeah.
Nichelle, I call my children, both sons, at least once a week, and I
Mhm.
check in, not
Mhm.
just to hear their voices, but to see their faces. Because
Yes.
sometimes they don't say what might be going on. And
And it's nonverbal. Yes. Hmm.
absolutely. And so I'm grateful. The more conversations I have about this, the more I am learning as a mother to make sure that I listen. And because I was so protective of my children, my oldest son, who has three babies, nobody, not even me, is allowed to take them a place, and that their cameras it's amazing. He said, because mommy, I hear these stories all the time, I see all the time, and we
Hmm.
think we can protect, right? And if our children say something, like our one of our grandchildren, she's at that place now where she wants to go to nobody, we don't force her. You don't want to go to so and so, come on over here to grandma. I mean, we always say, go to grandma. Go to grandma. Don't worry about it. You don't have to touch or hug or talk to anybody, because oftentimes children can sense and feel what we can't
Yeah.
see in the physical.
Yeah. And even if, so here's the thing, they're still learning about their sense of intuition, right?
Mhm.
And so we need to respect that. We need to have conversations around, obviously we want our kids to socialize, right? And we want our kids to feel comfortable in an
Mhm.
environment that we feel comfortable in. And over time they will. But I'm sorry, if you just met somebody, are you really going to want to be hugging up on
Right.
them? That's
Right.
like, that's just inappropriate.
Hmm.
Absolutely inappropriate.
Yeah.
And I think, in addition to the check-in, just for a second, because I know we have just a few seconds here, but
Don't worry. It's my
if,
show. We can go as long as we want to. I
okay,
give you another 15 minutes. We'll go.
okay.
Yeah.
So, when it comes to the older kids, kids who are in school,
Hmm.
what I find is, when we have conversations with them as pediatricians and take the time to talk about, well, how are things going in school? and so forth and so on. Are you getting along with your friends?
Mhm.
What are your, how many friends do you have? Do you
Mhm.
find it hard? Like all of those conversations, right?
Mhm.
Inevitably, what I find out is that a lot of parents are very struck by the things that their children say
Mhm.
are going on in their school, and they're
Mhm.
disclosing this stuff for the first time at the pediatric office.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, we are a safe space. We are a safe haven.
Mhm.
Um,
That
when
depends on the pediatrician, though.
That's
I guess.
true. That is
Okay.
true. Okay, so I'm going to do a caveat here. I'm talking
Yes.
about myself. Okay, I'm talking about myself.
Yep. Yep.
But we're not the only ones, is what I want to say. I don't
Mhm.
have any magic dust that gets
Mhm.
your child talking to me. I don't.
Mhm. Mhm.
But what I do have is I show them that I am able to hold whatever it is that they have to tell me.
Mhm.
So I just want to emphasize what that means.
Mhm.
Just like you were talking about being in a space with these kids, there was a energy that you um, expressed that allowed them to feel like, you know
Mhm.
what, I can trust her.
Mhm.
um, I know that whatever I have to say, she's
Mhm.
going to listen to what I have to say. She is emotionally, mentally, and spiritually available.
Mhm. Mhm.
Your children know
They do.
if you are not emotionally and spiritually available. The biggest problem for kids not going to their parents as a primary person to disclose things
Mhm.
is because they are worried about you. Don't
Wow.
make your children worry about you.
Wow.
Children should be children. You need to take care of your mental health,
Yes.
spiritual health, and
Mhm.
wellness so that
Mhm.
your children know that you can hold space for them.
Mhm. Yeah. Marguerite says, as a massage therapist, I must have a parent present when I massage children under 17. I have had parents fuss at me for asking them to be in the room. I
Mhm.
never want to be accused of inappropriateness. Wow.
Absolutely. And that is we have a massage therapist that
Mhm.
works at Peds 360 Plus, and
Mhm.
the same policy goes.
Yes.
Anybody, and I would recommend, honestly, that anybody who's under 21,
Yes.
um, that you have somebody that you are asking to
In the
be a chaperone in the room.
yes.
Um, because even if the 21-year-old, 20-year-old, 19-year-old, 18-year-old who are adults do not want someone in there, at
Mhm.
least you can document that you have asked. If there is,
Absolutely.
yes.
Yes. Alexandra says, while in Jefferson ER years ago, I witnessed a rape victim being yelled at by her mother when reporting her uncle raped her. Mama said, you act like you're the only one he ever touched. Can you imagine? He had raped the mother and the daughter, and the daughter broke the family secret.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Hmm.
Monica then says, wow, 7 years lost just for living in the city. Just think about it. Think about
Yeah.
all the things that are present in urban environments, not just Philadelphia, but in urban environments.
Yeah.
Laverne said, I learned that my sons were experiencing racism while playing the video games. That's the other
Hmm.
thing. See what they're watching. You're paying for these things. They can't afford to pay for it by themselves,
Absolutely.
right?
Discord, Snapchat. You need
Yep.
to be you need to be familiar with all of these different platforms.
Mm-hmm. Laverne says there's a book called Owning Our Struggles that talks about the ACEs assessment. That
Hmm.
assessment score can blow your mind, and you can look it up online. I did it a few weeks
Yes.
ago,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
so
And
that
the
you can.
Philadelphia Aces project,
Yeah.
you can do a screen, and I would say, when we talk about knowing your numbers, that's a number to know.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And so we'll talk. We'll talk a little bit. They're talking. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Monica says. Laverne says, my mother couldn't protect me. She couldn't protect herself. I feel like she knew, but she was also being abused, and the person who abused me was her safe space. The
Hmm.
person who abused her mother was that abused her was her mother's safe space. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Monica says, as a victim of abuse from childhood, having been through various counseling, I'm now hyper aware of certain grooming tactics. It's visible and we need to listen and watch our children.
Yeah.
Charmaine says, agree. I won't even continue to hold a child if they want to go. I never want them to feel stressed or uncomfortable. Laverne
Absolutely.
says, I was triggered from my abuse when I had my first son. My grandmother was the only person allowed to keep my sons without me. We must protect the child's space without feeling like they're offending other people. I could give a damn. You
Mhm.
offended? That makes me even further not want to leave my child with you.
Yep.
Parents have to stop telling their children all of their business as well. What does that mean?
So I think the inappropriate sharing,
Mm-hmm.
I think she's referring to that. Yes, your child
Mm-hmm.
is not your best friend. That's not,
Yes.
you're not supposed to be telling your child about your dates that you have.
Woo.
You're not supposed to be. Yes, I mean, I will tell you, I hear all kinds of things in the office, and I'm just like, that is also inappropriately and disclosing sexual content that children don't need to hear.
Wow. This is a lot, and I'm continuing to have the dialogue so we can free ourselves and free our children.
Yes,
Absolutely free our
absolutely.
children. I need D Teach for Life says some parents have very adult conversations with their children. I don't know why. I have no idea why. That makes no sense to me. But again, it is what it is, right?
It's the mental health, and it's not, it doesn't have to be what it is. It's
Mm-hmm.
recognizing that your boundaries need to be appropriate boundaries around
Mm-hmm.
children,
Mm-hmm.
and understanding that if you need somebody to talk to, that your 13-year-old is not that person. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, your 13-year-old needs to be 13. You need to talk to a therapist. Like,
Yes.
if you have to talk, I mean, let's put this out here because we have time to put this out here
Mm-hmm.
for a second.
Mm-hmm.
If you are finding yourself having inappropriate conversations with 13, 14, 15, 16, whatever age children,
Mm-hmm.
then you are grooming.
Wow.
Let's think about that for a second, because what you're doing is you're teaching that 13-year-old that it is okay to have these conversations with an adult that they know about your personal interactions, your own personal relationships that you should be keeping to yourself, talking to your friends that are of age about, or talking to a
Sharing that with
licensed therapist about. So if you yourself are having conversations with your 13-year-old about your date last night or whatever the things may
oh,
be,
that cannot
I
be.
promise you it is happening. I promise you. I mean, the fact, again, our listen, the people who are listening right now, right? We as providers are hearing this regularly, you know. Um the dynamic is there. The child is becoming hypersexualized, and
Mm,
from the standpoint of listening to the gossip of
right.
what is going on in the parent's life. Remember that, I have kids that are range age 9 all the way up to 22.
Yes.
And I'll be talking to my husband about something, and all of a sudden my son pops in. And we quickly, because my husband's also a
Yes.
pediatrician, we snap that off and we
Mm-hmm.
talk about something else.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll be like, "What are you guys talking about?" Grown folks
Folks, business.
business.
Yes. 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 Yes.
Mind your business.
Mm-hmm.
This does
Mm-hmm.
not concern you.
Oh, wow. Someone said, and this part annoys me too, when they say the son is the man of the house. They hypersexualize the child, and then
Yes.
when the child then starts to act like the man of the house and
Yes.
don't want to listen and do whatever he wants to do, that's a problem. D Teach for Life says, the stuff my students tell me could turn my hair white if it wasn't already. Amazing.
I agree.
And
Listen,
and
I agree.
and and they tell the men tell their sons about the holes in the neighborhood. What?
Yes,
Shakila says, first we have to understand and be honest with the fact that we actually need therapists. Absolutely.
yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I just want to make a note here. There's all different types of therapy. Usually people
Yes.
think about psychotalk therapy, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But in addition to cognitive behavioral therapy, there's
Hmm.
interrelationship theory. There's
Hmm.
EMDR, which specifically deals with trauma, um, and helping you to address persistent trauma that is showing up in your
Hmm.
life, showing up
Hmm.
when you don't have patience with other people, showing up when you're unable to wait your turn,
Yeah.
when you're in line or when you're driving your car, showing
Hmm.
up when you're quick to snap at other individuals that you
Hmm.
are interacting with, and
Hmm.
thinking that, oh, you're just keeping it pushing,
Hmm.
and keeping it moving, and you're not addressing. One of the reasons why we have our keeping it moving events is because we want to turn this idea of quote unquote keeping it moving on its head. You are not doing anybody justice by not addressing your mental health. Mental health is a spectrum. It can fluctuate. Everybody has mental health. If you have a head on your shoulders, you have mental
Yes.
health. Just like if you got a body, you have physical health, right?
Right. Right.
These things are very much interconnected. One of the reasons why I think, and this is just my thought process, another reason why the practice is the way that it is with a massage therapist and yoga therapy
Hmm.
and what have you, is because when you cross over Cheltenham Avenue, with the increase in income that is in this area,
Hmm.
you start to see things like people just going to yoga, you know,
Hmm.
weekly to take
Hmm.
care of themselves,
Hmm.
going to the gym
Hmm.
weekly to take care of
Hmm.
themselves, having the time to do those things and to take care of your mental health.
Hmm.
There's more therapists that are out here, right? Per, square mile, right? There's easier access to mental health services that's out here. I say if you have to drive an hour, which I did when I did EMDR, to find the right therapist for you, it is worth it. It
Yeah.
is absolutely worth it because it can change your
Life.
life.
Absolutely. Who Laverne says I've had to tell parents to be mindful of the conversations around the babies. 3 to 5 year olds tell everything.
Oh yeah. Oh, they will. Yo, they are a soapbox. They were, as soon as it comes in, it comes out, and you're just like, ooh. And I've heard kids cussing. Okay, let's talk about that. Don't tell me that you don't cuss around your children. If you got your 3-year-old coming in here
Listen,
cussing,
yeah. Hmm.
don't tell
Hmm.
me you're not hitting your kids if they're coming in here hitting me.
Yes.
Like, don't they are a reflection of what is going on in their environment.
Hmm.
They repeat everything, they do everything, and then don't get mad at them when they do.
Right, right. Just be introspective, reflective, and change
Yeah,
what you're doing. Tell
exactly.
people how they can find you. Lord have
Yes.
mercy.
I'm at Pete's 360 Plus, 361 Highland Avenue, Suite 206, in Jenkintown, PA 19046. Right by LA Fitness, right next to the Highland Grill.
Yeah, I would put
Used
in Glenside because I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
even
Glenside
imagine.
too.
Yes.
Yeah. It
Um,
depends on what
yes,
GPS you have,
yes,
but
yes.
Glenside, PA 19046 will get you there.
Mhm.
You can call 267-594-8734. We have a wellness series that's open to the community, including a teaching kitchen, yoga, mindfulness,
Mhm.
mental health
Mhm.
services, social work services, and
Mhm.
resources. You can go to www.peds, 360plus.com. And our
Mhm.
wellness series directly is www.wellness.peds,
Mhm.
P-E-D-S, 360
Mhm.
plus, Plus.com.
Yes, thank you so much. You
Thank
know,
you.
I love these shows, these segments, because it is allowing you. And I was about to ask the same thing, Danette. Marguerite says that grooming thing is real. I dated a guy in college whose mother told me that he should be good in bed because she taught him everything he knows. I ran quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Good for her. Good for her.
That's
Yes.
insane. And
Yes.
Donnet says, because Alexandra says, I did MDR therapy last year and it was necessary. I
Mhm.
don't know what that I needed. It pulled out the deep roots. And Donnet says, what is MDR?
It's EMDR. And
EMDR.
It is a type of therapy. It used to be specifically rapid eye. They use rapid eye movement
Mm-hmm.
visualizations to
Mm-hmm.
bring you back into the space, essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and to help you process um, your trauma, the triggers, and to help
Oh.
to desensitize the visceral
Mm-hmm.
response. It doesn't change um, the event, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
but it does help you process as you walk
Mm-hmm.
through it. It helps you process what happened. Um, in my case, and I'm just sharing here, which I can now without being triggered about it, which is very, very interesting and new for me, is that I found myself being in the space in which I was triggered and being able to pull in resources that I have now as an
Mm-hmm.
adult
Mm-hmm.
to help me process what happened in those moments that are triggering. And so now I am not as um, deeply, viscerally charged talking about it, thinking about it, dealing with it, and managing it. Because this stuff shows up in your health, it
Yeah.
shows up
It shows up in
in
the
your
way you
life.
respond to people. It shows up in the way you live
Yeah,
your seriously. I've
yeah,
always when I watch people just constantly hollering at folks and screaming and
yeah.
pushing people out of the way, and
Mhm.
that tells me there's a level of trauma there. People don't just grow up to be mean spirited.
No, they're not born that way.
Right.
We are not
Right.
born that way. It is what has happened
Yeah.
since we have been here that has led
Yeah.
to this moment. And we need to, again, respect that journey,
Yes.
learn from that journey, and seek help when, we find that it is affecting
Hmm.
our life. And some people don't know, but I'm going to tell you this, your coworkers know, your family knows. And if you don't know, go and get your score. Go to Philadelphia Aces projects. Shout out to them. Go online. Go get your score. Look at your score, and if you have a score, I would say that's at least 5 or higher,
Hmm.
and you don't think it's affecting you,
Hmm.
ask your partner, ask your friend, ask your
Ask the people that
coworker,
work with you. Yes.
ask the
Yes.
people that are around you, because
Yes.
if you do that and these people are like, no, you're cool, you're cool, you're cool. Okay, all right. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. And maybe you are one of the rare individuals that has been able to manage your stress and trauma without it
Mhm.
showing up. Go to the doctor, make sure it's not your blood pressure, make
Right.
sure it's not your diabetes, the inflammation that's in your body. Some of that
Mhm.
is your mental health and you're
Mhm.
storing it. Okay. Um, but I would say that 9 times out of 10, it is showing up in some way and you probably are not aware of it.
Yes, I agree. Dr. Michelle, thank
Yes.
you so thank you so much. I think adults this started as a conversation about pediatrics, but it
Yeah.
really is a conversation about our entire being. Adults, all of us,
Yes.
the way we
It's
manage.
the family, man. It's the
Yeah,
family. It's the
it is.
community, change a family, change a community,
Mhm.
all of it.
Mhm.
In order
Mhm.
to take care of our kids, we have to take care of ourselves too.
Mhm. I agree. I
Yeah.
so agree. D Teach for Life says, I see these behaviors every day with the middle schoolers that I teach. There's a woman that I talk to at least once a week, and she has such a calming presence. When I see things happening around me and I think it's one thing, she says, now I need you to go back and look at the history. I need you to
Hmm.
go back and take, which then makes me slow down and go,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I didn't see things this way. Maybe I need to see things that way. And
Yeah.
I do it where I don't get angry or frustrated, or
Hmm.
because I've learned over the years. But then I was raised in a household where my parents were very protective. We weren't allowed to go to the parties everybody else was allowed to go to. We
Hmm.
weren't allowed to stay at anybody else's house. And I thought my parents were so damn mean. I thought
Hmm.
they were so mean, but they knew things that they, of course, we had to stay in a child's place. They knew things and family secrets that they knew. You're not going over there to
You're
go.
going
Nope.
exactly
And
because
as
we know.
adults, we
Mhm.
learned, Dr. Nichelle,
Mhm.
so we wouldn't have an ACE score, which is why probably I can grow up and be an adult and say, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. I was raised in an environment that allowed me to be able to focus and really
Mhm.
consider everything that's going on around me
Yeah.
versus the people who have been so damn traumatized their whole lives
Oh yeah, and the kids are walking around hard.
with no
they're
life in their
hardened.
eyes.
Mhm. Mhm.
It is so scary. Um, Shakila says, I don't even know if these coworkers know, because I've heard people talk about some people and realize that they're walking around like Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, because it's not who I know. That's not who I know. It's crazy. It is
Mhm.
absolutely crazy. And we have to be thoughtful about all of this, because we're not just impacting ourselves, we're impacting everybody that comes in contact with us. And if we
Absolutely.
remember that, then we will think differently and move differently as we go along. Thank you so much, Dr. Nichelle. We'll
Thank
talk
you.
soon, okay?
Always.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. All right. Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. It is now 7:51 a.m. I am getting ready to get off the air. As you are all aware, on Sunday, August 10th, I will be at Duafe. From 12 to 4, we are doing a pop-up for all the A.Lawful Truth merchandise. There'll be mugs, there'll be cups. Oh, you asked for it. I literally only posted to show you what I had for myself, and people wanted to begin buying some of the stuff. So I went into work mode and got the merchandise together. And so we're now doing a pop-up at the Wafe from 12 to 4. Sarita Scott will be in there to give you free hair. She can tell you what's going on with your hair if you want her to. So she's a backspace right where we're going to be doing the pop-up. I'm excited. So we can do that. The Wafe 12 to 4 on Sunday. On Saturday, I'm one of the people who are walking the red carpet for the big black ball with Mr. Man Frisbee. And that's not just us walking around dressed up. It is a fundraiser for his Achievers Brunch that he's been doing now for several years. It's about children. I am there, right? So I am, you will see the unveiling of what it is that I created. I had to be very, what's her name? I'm looking at her face. Renee and I met yesterday, and whoo, baby, there's so much, because it's going to be 89 degrees on that rooftop, and so my outfit had to reflect that. It couldn't be something heavy and crazy and all this other stuff, and so it's important. So for those of you who have a ticket, if you don't have a ticket, reach out to me inbox, and I'll make sure that you get one, as you're able to get one to attend this thing on Saturday, August 9th. So there's that. That promises to be amazing. Lots of great people from Philadelphia, fashion influencers from Philadelphia and beyond will be there walking the red carpet and showing all our creativity, right? Sunday, 12 to 4 p.m., Duafe merchandise pop-up for my podcast and Mornings with Mova. Marguerite says, thank you both for being transparent. It is important. It's absolutely important, right? Yesterday morning, my daughter-in-law reached out to me. She says, my the twin boy, there was something that he needed that they couldn't find anywhere. They were looking in every supermarket, everywhere they could not find it. I said, say less. I got off the air, went and found the thing that they needed, and drove. Now listen, we're talking a 3-hour drive now. Drove all the way to them and drove all the way back. And they would look, my son was like, you did. And while I was on my way there, I said, what else do you need? And I bought all the things and dropped it at their door. I didn't go inside, because once the children see me, they make a ah! So I left it there. We have to figure out ways to love on each other and make sure that our families are safe. The address for what, Shaquilla? 3129 22nd Street. Look on Facebook. It's pinned to my wall for the pop-up. I put up the flyer yesterday. It's 3129 North 22nd Street, Duafe. Come on in. We'll have treats for you guys, stuff to eat, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to be hog maws and macaroni and cheese. It's not that. We're going to serve you some dessert and Jasmine Moy B&T's amazing good stuff. You'll have that. You'll have water, and you can come and buy the merchandise and also get your hair looked at. Sarita will, do an evaluation of your hair and tell you what you need to do, with it. That's it. And so I'm grateful for all of you. This morning when I woke up, I was like, there's so much going on, so much going on. People are literally losing their minds and calling me that they're losing their minds. And so it began impacting, which is why I got to get off here because I got to go to the gym. This is how I keep myself from falling apart in order to continue to support you all and myself. This episode of Mornings with Mother is officially over. I am Andrea Lawful Sanders. I'll see you when I see you. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye. And goodbye.